Greetings, family. Shalom, shalom. Welcome to H2HDI. I want to thank you and welcome you. I am your host, a servant son, not asking, not looking, not seeking for title of bishop or apostle or teacher. But it's interesting is that when you go into a church realm, with the conscious of the world's mindset, you actually think you're growing up from a pastor to an evangelist to a prophet to a apostle. But if you look at the realm of sonship, you actually begin to see that the realm of sonship actually takes you from the sprouting seed, which in Hebrew is the nun. In Hebrew, if you want to look into that Hebrew lexicon word, the nun, he's trying to teach you and I that the seed was already germinated within you and I. We're not sinners saved by grace. Yes, we were in the outer court, but when you grow up and mature more, you're going to begin to see that the Father is slowly cooking, slowly making that outer shell of what your thought, of what your intent is, to grow up and rise up. And I'm not talking about from a seed, but yet I am. A seed to a blade to a full corn ear. Listen to what I'm saying, because this, I guess you can say the salvation message is progressive. It doesn't stay the same. So if you're going to be, but yet in the church realm today, hear me out. If you go to a church that doesn't preach death, burial, resurrection, but yet teaches you to feel good and go for your dreams and goals without having the conviction of righteousness, the order of Melchizedek from father to son and son back to father, the redemption, the death, burial, resurrection, and soon coming return of Yahuah, you have to leave the church. Why? Because you're going to be nurtured and groomed into motivational speaking rather than discipleship training. So I want you guys to hear me out. Now, all of us are here. Some of us are serving Yahuah because we're expecting a promise to manifest. Some of us are serving Yahuah because we have gone from the traditional mindset of the church realm and trying to go into kingdom. And some of us are hearing for the first time the message of his name. If you want to rule and reign, you got to restore Yahuah's name. So we have a saying here in Psalm 68:4, it says, "Sing to Yah," or God, in the King James Version. "Sing praises to his name. Extol him who rides on the clouds. By his name, Yah, and rejoice before him." And if you've been with us long enough, we actually help to teach you that if you want to understand why his name is Yah and why it was only mentioned one time, again, you have to find and watch certain words from the Paleo-Hebrew, from the Old Testament, and come into the realm of study, of dissecting, of searching out the matter. Proverbs 25:2, why the word Yah was mentioned one time in the whole entire Old Testament as Yah himself. Psalm 68:4, you begin to read that. I was also speaking to somebody else in regards to the name, and because, listen to this, hear me out. The letter J was only introduced into our vernacular around 1611. But prior to that, it was actually written by an Italian who came up with the letter J to pronounce the Y and G sound. I'm not going to go into historical context of analysis, which we use in the hermeneutics. I want to teach you guys something, because hear me out. Many of us are coming into understanding the realm of sonship a little bit more, but we need to come into the place of being submissive, being subservient to the man, the set man of your life. I've learned this from years, and I always question the Father, why do I got to submit? Why do I got to serve? Why this? When he said at the very end, "Good job, well done, my faithful servant. You may enter in." Or should I say this? "You may enter into the courts with thanksgiving, and enter his gates with thanksgiving, into his courts with praise." The reason why I'm doing that and elaborating that is because he's showing you and I, until the time appointed, where you are then sent by the voice, by the messenger, by the Malach Yahushua, the messenger Yahushua, the son. You're going to have to learn patience. And in patience, you're going to have to learn how to deny yourself and go through self-denial. So you guys saying, what's the difference? Denying yourself is like what the scripture says. If you eat too much, put a knife to the throat, and you're denying yourself eating more. Now, self-denial is when you come into a place where you come in and you know that you think you're right, but yet when you deny yourself saying, maybe I need to be quick to listen and slow to speak, therefore now I'm going to begin to understand that everything around me is a distraction. That's why, hear me out. The distractions to your faith are only attractions of the soul. Let me explain it. I remember years ago, I'm going to just open up myself a little bit. So sometimes when I'll put myself on blast a little bit. Sometimes when I'm upstairs, I'm home alone. Sometimes instead of doing the necessities of cleaning the house, I'll get on my phone a little bit and get distracted. I'll be on my phone a little bit and be like, oh, okay, Intune with the Triune Live. Maybe I'll watch that instead of searching out the scriptures. Why did I let my soul do that? Was because there again, that we have a saying here at H2HDI. Those distractions to your faith are only attractions to your soul. So it's very easy to get distracted with technology nowadays because I get distracted too. We all do. Nobody's excluded from that. But yet, if you're the trying of your faith activates and develops patience. Let's go to the book of James chapter 1. The book of James chapter 1. Or as they said in the Spanish, Santiago, which I don't understand how you go from James to Jaime to Santiago in Spanish. I don't get that. Somebody elaborate that for me. James chapter 1, verse 2 through 4, which says, "My brethren, count it all joy when you fall into various temptations, various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces patience." Or how about this? You ever gone through so much hell with people that you just get done and dealt with, that you're tired, you get rubbed the wrong way? I understand what you're saying because, heck, I had to go learning the wrong way and the right way and get rubbed both the wrong way and the right way. Because hear me out. When we say here, Yahushua ha Mashiach, Mashiach is a threefold cord, meaning to pour oil, to rub oil, and to smear oil. So next time you get rubbed the wrong way, instead of trying to cuss out the person, instead of trying to say the wrong thing to agitate the problem, maybe it'd be wise to cover a matter, quiet your soul, because careful what you say, because you will be ensnared by your own words. So that's why the Father's still saying, are you going to learn for me to rub you and smear oil in you? So therefore, when somebody rubs you the wrong way, you produce anointing and presence and not just a soul attribute, a manifestation. Oh, if they would understand who I am. Oh, they don't know who I am in God. Well, of course they don't, because you're over here acting a fool by allowing yourself to manifest your own soulish attributes and not allowing the Spirit to penetrate your soul. So therefore, you're learning to be more walking into the realm of spirit. And then when you walk more in spirit, then you're spirit filled. And when you're spirit filled, then you become spirit led. And when you begin to learn that you're spirit led, now the Spirit speaks through you and you have a word to speak against the soulish enemies, or the battle in between your ears. Thank you for the tea also. It's really doing a lot. Whew. That was good. Now, you have need of patience. Hebrews chapter 10, verse 6. I know a lot of people in the church room have been praying, God, I need patience. I need patience. Or how about this? Even patient long enough that the force of patience now begins to work in you. Macrophemia and hupomene, the force of patience. One's consistent, the other begins to operate by allowing the emunah to work. Now, some of you guys are saying, well, why are you talking about this? Didn't Shiliak already talk about this? Yes, he did, but he mentioned two things that I don't think a lot of people understood. Macrophemia, which is a Greek word, which actually takes you to the force that the patients have. Because remember, you're serving Yahuah not to manifest a baruch or a blessing in English. You're manifesting Yahuah because what you're essentially doing is that the summation ministry is to manifest Yahuah in this generation and in the next. So that's why I got to be, and I'm going to put myself on the spot, a light for the next generation like Elijah here at the house. He's the youngest here at the house, but yet he's learning as he's growing up on how to serve Yahuah. Yes, he helps me out with the live stream. Yes, he helps out with doing dishes. And sometimes I have to challenge him. Hey, Elijah, take out the trash. Hey, Elijah, I want you to do this. Why? Because it's his due diligence as a son that he must learn to be a servant son. Some of you guys are thinking, aren't you too tough? No, we're not tough on him. We're being gentle and light. That's why patience is the stabilizing factor. Let me read Hebrews 10 for you. Hebrews chapter 10, verse 36, which says... let's read, Hebrews chapter 10. Let's actually read verse 35, and I'll read to 38. Therefore, do not cast away your confidence, which has a great reward. So meaning when you go through trials, when you go through this, forget it, I'm done. I already went through it. Okay, no more. Don't throw that away. Let the Father continue working on it. Because there's a great reward, meaning the baruch you've been trying to force to manifest, but yet you haven't manifested because there's no humility, no willingness to die. And watch this in the next verse. For you have need of endurance. So don't throw away the endurance. You need it. Because when you learn how to, it's like a muscle. You go to the gym, you work out your chest. What happens? You're going to build the endurance where now it's like, okay, I have endurance to go from 25 pounds to 45 pounds to 135. Or now for myself, I can bench press 225 pounds. I had to take a mental math for a minute. I was like, wait, hold on. 45 bars, 45, 25. Yeah, it's 225 right there. It's 245s on each plate. Because as you endure the process, now you can begin to use the weight that you've been able to bench press through. Or in this aspect, when the Father begins to deal with your attitude, your mindsets, your carnal thinking, he's trying to get you away from stop looking at carnality. Okay, maybe it's not carnality this way or carnality that way. Maybe it's the Father trying to say, listen, son, listen, daughter, what I'm trying to make you understand is that I'm forcing you to put you in a place of patience where you stop looking at life circumstances in the flesh realm, but I'm making you see it where you're seated in righteousness. So now you learn how to separate flesh, soul, spirit. Meklakah, which is Hebrew, you separate for classes, courses, and allotments, and Meklaketh, the separation of the Levites and the high priest. A lot of people say, well, dividing asunder is Hebrews 4:12. Correct. But you got to understand there's, I don't know if I can say this word right. Compartmentalize. You got to learn to compartmentalize that word within you. So you got to understand when emunah operates, faith, when patience operates, and when you begin to shoe leather it, yes, you're going to go, even the set man of the house is trying to provoke you to righteousness. Why are they trying to provoke you? Is because of this. For yet a little while, and he who is coming will come and will not tarry. Because the set man, it could be apostle, could be a prophet, could be evangelist, whoever the Father put in your life to be ordained over you, to rule over your soul. So therefore you're going into the realm of the spirit and not the soul. Now he's trying to do is he's putting and applying pressure. So therefore the outer shell of flesh cracks. It's like Superman anytime the pressure came and there was problems or tribulation, what happens? He saw the problem, he identified, and he saw who he was already. He takes off his shirt. What does it say? The letter S. Some of you guys saying, it's Shin. Well, in the comic book, it was hope. Yes, it was hope. But the Father was trying to elaborate. In pressure, I'm cracking the outer shell, so therefore, when the force of patience arises, now the operation of spirit begins to manifest. That's why you have need of patience for a little while, because he will not tarry, he will come when the time comes. Verse 38, now the just shall live by faith. Wait a minute, I just went through all this about patience, and now you're telling me the just shall live by faith? Yes, because here's why. Faith is the factor, or emunah is the factor to manifest what you've been operating in, the force of patience. There's a power in your waiting. Oh my God. That's what you've been waiting for. Oh my God, I just caught it. You've been waiting for a promise, but you've been waiting wrong. You've been saying, okay, I'm just going to read the word, do my Monday through Friday 9 to 5 jobs, honor the Sabbath, read the scriptures, but yet you never came to the place where you begin to wait. If you go to a Michelin star restaurants, they actually have servers that have napkins right here, and they show you that they're waiting on you. They're servicing you. You never allowed the Spirit to penetrate and begin to operate where you're a servant son. You guys are saying, what is he talking about? Yeshua came, and he came in the image of man, in the image of his Father, but yet he never operated as the Son of God, but yet he operated as the servant of Yah. When was the last time you read an entity? You can go through any mythology or fairy tale, but I never to this day read where a messianic figure, and I'm just going to say it in the outer court realm, a messianic or a godlike figure descend who he was to wash the feet of his servants. You'll never read that. Yahuah wants all of us to become the servant sons, and that's what we all do. It's tough, I know. I don't like serving. I didn't like it, but then when I saw the role of a servant son, I began to see, that's why the Father did that. It's because he wants a mirrored image, not a marred heart. That's why he said, show the house of iniquity to the house of Israel, or show the house of Israel to the house of iniquity. He was showing you the promised son of who he is to the house of twisted teachings, your heart. That's why a lot of us get it mentally, and I've been I'm going to say it like this, I'm an intellectual idiot from time to time. And yes, I'm putting myself on blast. Why? Because I get it and I speak intellectually rather than the Spirit. Be quick to listen and slow to speak. Because the Father's still saying, yes, son, yes, daughter. You will inherit the kingdom when you learn to serve. Philippians speaks about esteeming others better than yourselves. And that's the toughest thing, because in this day and ages, all we hear is what we read in the book of 1 Timothy, that everybody wants to go into marrying. Everybody's lovers of money and lovers of themselves. But nobody ever came to the realization of learning how to, even, I remember this saying that Virgie before 11 years ago, maybe 11 years ago, she was sitting with me and we were sitting at the table over there, and she was actually telling me something very deep that I didn't catch. And I was like, and all it was something so simple, you'll hear it. And she said, Josh, are you willing to lay down your plate of food for somebody else that comes? And it was funny because I was hearing Robert immediately after, I'm ready and willing to do it. And she's like, yeah, Robert, I know you. All right, you can do it. That's fine. Married couples. But, I was like laughing at that. But then she came. It's like, now, Josh, are you ready and willing to lay down your plate for the next person who may not have eaten in a day or in a week? And I literally had to stop and think. I was like, you know what? And she quickened me and said, see, you took too long to answer I was like, yeah, but I didn't let the Spirit know. You didn't develop your spirit enough to say you got to learn to lay down. And I know I'm going to be ensnared by my own word when I say it, but I'm here to tell you, you have to learn to become a servant son, because when you begin to serve, that's when the force of patience operates, because you begin to live in emunah to manifest the force of who Yahuah is in you. The force of patience. That's why it's called the force of patience, because there's character development, character building that Yahuah is doing. Patience is a stabilizing factor. Hebrews chapter 12. Let's turn there. Or how about this? Romans chapter 5 verse 1 through 4. Let's read that. Romans chapter 5 verse 1 through 4. Romans chapter 5, verse 1 through 4. Therefore, having been justified by emunah, we have peace with Yah through our Master Yahushua HaMashiach, through whom also we have access by emunah into this favor in which we stand and rejoice in the hope of the esteem of Yahuah. And not only that, but we also esteem in tribulation, knowing that tribulation produces perseverance, and perseverance character, and character hope. That's why there's a hope. See, the force of patience without hope is just that. You got to have emunah to manifest it. And if you don't know how to have emunah, I recommend you go to Hebrews 11, or you can go into further in depth, and begin to research Abraham and how he was considered righteous against all odds. He still hoped for a promised seed that came, that Israel is the promised son of Yah. Some of you guys are saying, it's Jesus. No, read your scriptures. Do your hermeneutics, the art and science of biblical interpretation. Yahushua was sent not to the Gentile, but to the lost sheep of the house of Israel, because he was pointing everybody, look, guys, you need to go back to my Father. Don't talk to the Gentiles until the time appointed. So when I ascend, now you may speak unto them. But everybody nowadays calls themselves Gentiles, when I'm still saying, no, you guys call yourselves Gentiles. I'm a servant son, because a servant son knows how to delegate himself into the outer court realm, where he's a servant. How about this one? Let's put it like this. In the outer court realm, the camera's not going to work right now. In the outer court realm, where the multitude is at, Moses was a servant of the Most High. In the holy court realm, Abraham was a friend of the Most High. But in the Holy of Holies, in the Kadosh Kadosh, Yahushua is the Son of the Most High. So look at the math. You have servant, friend, and son. And the only person I can say to this day I know as a friend of Yahuah was one person. And she kept on whooping us here at H2HDI and whipping us by righteousness and saying, I'm a friend of Yahuah. I'm not sure about you guys. And I won't forget who she said. That was Isha. She said that, and she said with full assurance, I'm not just a servant. I'm a friend of the Most High. I'm not sure about you guys. And she was talking to me and the set man of the house. I'm not supposed to say that, but it was funny because here's the reason why. She understood the process. She understood the force that she had to go through. She understood the perseverance, the character building she had. When she had a broken hip right here, she was right there in the hallway sleeping in the bed. Why? And we don't disclose this because we're trying to show you why the force of patience operates. Is because when you begin to force yourself in the realm of the spirit, in the realm of the Ruach, watch what happens. You're going to see life changes. That's why in verse 3, and not only that, but we glory or esteem in tribulations, knowing that tribulations produce perseverance, and perseverance character, and character hope. Patience is the stabilizing factor, because here's the thing. Hebrews chapter 12 verse, and I said I was going to go there, verse 1 and 2. Hebrews 12 verse 1 through 3. I'm sorry. Hebrews chapter 12 verse 1 through 3. 1, 2, and 3 says, therefore we also, since we are surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight and the sin which so easily ensnares us. Let us run with endurance the race that is set before us, looking unto Yahushua, the author, the developer, and finisher of our emunah, who for the joy that was set before him endured the stake or the cross, despising the shame, and has sat down at the right hand of the throne of Yah. So it's interesting. We complain about our coworkers. We complain about our schools. We complain about how almost everybody treats us. We complain about how we don't like our own stinking thinking, how we live our lives, or I'm bored here at the house. But the Father still said, look, he, for the joy that was set before him, endured the cross, despising the shame. Some of us have to go through a lot of stuff to get rid of the pride in our lives, and we don't want to go through it. But we have to. Why? Because when the Father's trying to get our attention, which he will, he has a hook on us. And then what he's trying to say, look, there's distractions, burdens, cares, hindrances, the sin that besets us to deviate or a diversion. You run with patience. You don't quit. That's why there's a saying Shiliak has said, and I'm beginning to understand it with more clarity. Don't race him, pace him. Don't race him, pace him. Because as you begin to pace him, now character, and now you're aligning yourself with spirit. You're aligning yourself with his light. The sin that besets us to draw away from the course, distractions or deviates, an attack or trick or feint or trick decoy toward one part or area in order to distract attention from the point one really intends to attack. Distractions or decoys drawn away from the course. Sometimes, oh my God. Sometimes we have to learn to shut our own self down. Because like I said before, attractions to the soul are distractions to your distractions to your faith are only attractions of the soul. And I understand some people don't like when we get dealt with. I understand some people don't like it when we get told the truth. But when we get told the truth, look, take it with not just a grain of salt, but take it as a stone of truth. So no, maybe there was an issue, or maybe there was an error I lived in that I didn't see myself come into the fullness of Yahuah. Decoys of the faith, 5 natural senses, sickness, pain, pressure, bills, payment, mindsets, dealing with the spouse, dealing with your children, dealing with your father, your mother, your brother, your aunts, your uncles. Those are all distractions, really, because when you begin to manifest Yahuah and you begin to silence yourself, the Father's going to place you in confinement. Confinement brings refinement. Refinement brings alignment. Alignment brings your assignment. That's why you have to take a look into it and begin to realize, yes, the just live by faith, but the Father is trying to show you, beloved, my esteem, my dear, my worthy of love. I have ahabbed you. I've loved you before the foundations of the world. Why? Why do you, oh my God. Why do you think that sometimes an apostle or a set man or a pastor gets in our case or speaks up? Is because he's trying to show you you've been living in an error in that particular lifestyle. You have too much intellect, but you never shut your soul down to receive the seed of Yahuah, the Zerah, seed sowing offspring. One of the foundational things that I begin to see more and more in my life is like, wow, maybe Yahuah has been trying to deal with me, but yet intellect robs me. Or maybe he's been dealing with me because I'm too fleshly in one area, or I'm too soulish in another area, or I haven't tapped into the realm of spirit, into the realm of Ruach. He's getting our attention, ladies and gentlemen, but there's a pull. When the enemy begins to plague you and says, oh, maybe you should have this, or maybe you should have that. No, you've done not enough. You need a pat on the back. Nope. Resist the devil and he shall flee. Again, the force of patience, even if you have to write the promise of the Father of what you have planned or whatever, don't tell anybody. Keep it between you and Yah in your prayer time, in your prayer closet, or you and him alone, and begin to pray over the matter. Begin to ask him, begin to seek, and begin to knock and watch. He's going to manifest himself in you and out of you. But here's the real question for the true disciples of the house. And I really got to ask this question. Are you serving Yahuah for just the Baruch? Are you serving Yahuah just for blessings? Or are you serving Yahuah just to manifest him? I really need you to pay attention to that question, because hear me out. Sometimes the blessing or the Baruch is in a form of a seed, and he's going to begin to judge you righteously. Did you receive the Baruch that you've been praying for, that you've been asking for, that you've been seeking for, that you've been knocking for your way? Or when you asked, seeked, and knocked me, did you find it the way I wanted to give it to you, in a seed-based form? Yes, I know we got to go through a lot. Yes, I know there's a lot of distractions within ourselves, but hear me out. When you begin to become subservient, when you begin to become submit yourself unto the set man of your life, watch what Yahuah is going to do. He's setting apart a people for his name's sake. I was going to say something else in my notes, but that's why what he's trying to show you is, listen, Jeremiah 16:19 says, O Yah, my strength and my fortress and my refuge, in the day of affliction the Gentiles shall come unto thee from the ends of the earth, and shall say, surely our fathers have inherited lies, vanity, and things wherein there is no profit. There's no profit in the name of Jesus. Why? Because all the Gentiles, modern day Gentiles, are Christians. Christians call themselves Gentiles. Why? Because they don't read the scripture that they can be drawn away from becoming a sinner to becoming called and being in the flow of sonship. That's why, what are you arming yourself for? I gave some notes to another person in regards to the name Yahushua. What they do with it, they are held accountable to it. I know a lot of people don't like it. Even a single piece of paper can hold accountability. Any single piece of paper that changes your life. The force of patience. I was talking with Sheliak the other day. He's like, Josh, do you understand the process? Do you understand what you're going through? And he actually asked me, he's like, do you understand that everything you're living in right now is not for you, but for the next generation? I had to sit down. I was like, whew. Because the meat of what was asked, because remember, the Father says you will, and when he breaks you, he will become meat to eat for. I'm not going to go into that scripture, but I just want to know, when you begin to learn that you are a vessel of honor, there's vessels of dishonor, there's vessels of wood, hay, stubble in this house. When you begin to learn how to separate everything that you've gone through in life and put everything in the vessel of honor, vessel of dishonor, vessel of wood, hay, stubble, he's going to learn to, and you're going to learn to compartmentalize, because he's already learned it. But because Yahuah learned and still loves to learn, he's seeking sons that have it by the spirit of impartation. I think my time is up. I just want to say, don't stray away from the walk that the Father has for you and I this day because you see things in the natural. Ask the Father in your prayer time to separate, cleanse yourself, stop seeing things, and ask him in your prayers, Father, I'm tired of seeing the fleshly things. I can only see flesh things, or I can only see in the realm of flesh. I need to see in the realm of spirit. I need to see in the realm of righteousness. How do you operate in this realm? How do you begin? How do you want me to handle it? And watch as he begins to handle everything on your behalf. It says, cast all your cares and lay it at the feet of Yahushua because he cares much for you. Watch. Yahuwah is going to work and operate in you and out of you. And he begins to operate in you and out of you. Now you're going to begin to see, oh, character was built because I practiced this one thing. The force of patience. There's a power behind it. Macrothumia and hupomene. One is consistency and one is the force that drives you to be consistent and remain in the word. So until we see each other again, just want to thank you and welcome you to H2HDI. I'm your host, Elder Joshua Malara. And some of you guys are thinking, how is he an elder? Well, here's the thing. You don't become an elder by age. You don't go in church realm. Some people have become an elder within 1 year. But I always believed you become an elder by the things that you become a steward over. When you begin to learn the principles of stewardship, where everything you own is not your own, even the sweater you own on your back is not your own, watch Yahuwah begin to show you, oh, okay, now my son, now my daughter knows me, that I own everything. I am the one that owns the house. I'm the one that distributes how much they should get weekly. I'm the one that distributes how much they should get bi-weekly. I'm the one that distributes the finances. I'm the one that owns the cattle on a 1,000 cattle on a hill. I am the one who you are seeking. It's kind of scary if you think about it, really. And a scare meaning a fear, a reverent flow of father to son. So until we see each other again, don't forget to hit the like, the share button, subscribe for more content, such as TerrorBites live every Tuesday at 7, and our Sabbath live stream every Saturday from 12 to 1. I encourage you, get your pens, your papers ready for notes, and watch the scriptures manifest in your life. So until we see each other again, you guys be Baruch, Boker Tov, Lila Tov, sweet sleep, and undisturbed composure to you and I this day. Because I need some sleep later. Like, later. Anyways, you guys be Baruch. Pray your Shema before you wake up or after you wake up and before you're about to go to sleep. So, Deuteronomy 6:4. Shema Israel Yahuwah, Eloheinu Yahuwah Echad, Baruch Shem Kavod, Malchut Olam Vayed. Shalom, shalom. You guys be Baruch.